Our brains are very good at identifying dangerous situations and keeping us safe from them. Sometimes our brains identify situations as being more dangerous than they actually are. Our brains want to defend us when we don't need them to. Understanding why that can happen helps us to manage that reaction. As an example, you might be leading a development session for a group of coaches. In the middle of the session, one of the coaches challenges you about the grammar in one of your handouts. If your brain perceives this as a threat to you, it will try to keep you safe. 3 ways it might try to keep you safe are having you flee from the threat, freeze and hope the threat goes away, or fight against the threat. But why might our brain perceive this as a threat? Australian researcher David Rock and his team drew on neuroscience research to identify a set of 5 emotional triggers that might cause our brains to perceive social situations as threats. These triggers are known by the acronym SCARF. The first trigger is status. This relates to our position and importance in the social setting. Something that might or actually reduces our status can be perceived as threatening. The second trigger is certainty. This relates to our desire to be right when we predict what will happen. When things are not how we expected them to be, it shows us that we don't fully understand our situation, and that can be risky. The third trigger is autonomy. This relates to wanting to have some say in what happens to us. Situations where we have little or no control or choice can be very stressful and threatening. The fourth trigger is relatedness. This concerns whether we are in or out of a group. Are we friend or foe? Being in the out group might mean we have nobody we can trust in that social situation. We might feel that everybody else is against us. And David Rock's fifth trigger is fairness. This relates to whether or not we see a situation as being fundamentally just. Situations built on unfair exchanges or misuse of power can provoke a response to right the wrong. Let's look at how those triggers might be present in the coach development session you are running. When the coach in the audience said there were grammatical problems in the handouts, it is possible that one or more of the SCARF triggers was involved for you. Maybe that question challenged your feeling of status as the knowledgeable leader of that session. Maybe you wanted to respond to the challenge, but weren't really certain about the finer points of grammar. Maybe you were reminded that you didn't even write the handouts. Maybe the way in which the question was asked and the fact that nobody else spoke up for you made you feel very alone out the front. Or maybe being called out in front of everybody just felt really unfair. When we are triggered in one or more of these domains, it can be hard to perform at our best. The good news is that we are usually able to manage the SCARF process, which allows us to avoid a fight, flight, or freeze reaction. So how do we do that? The easiest step towards managing the process is knowing that it might happen. We can think about possible triggers and prepare more effective responses. For example, the next time you run a development session for a group of coaches, you could be prepared for handling similar interruptions with a response that calms the situation. Then, if it happens, the situation feels less threatening as you are prepared with a response. Even knowing that we are prone to SCARF, we can still find ourselves triggered by situations. So it is helpful to know what we can do to stop the fight, flight, or freeze reaction. When a fight, flight, or freeze response is starting, there is a good chance that you will feel it happening before you know it is happening. This could include a feeling of dread. You might feel nervous, your heart might beat faster, or you might start to feel warm. As you notice that reaction happening, remind yourself of the purpose of the activity. Why are you there? What impact are you trying to have? Then make a clear choice to adopt a controlled, helpful response rather than the unhelpful reaction. The SCARF model gives us a way to understand why it is that we sometimes react to social situations in unhelpful ways. Knowing what the triggers are can help us prepare for them when they are likely to arise. Being aware of how we experience that defensive reaction can help us realise when it is happening. And being clear about the purpose of an activity can help us to make a choice that better serves others and allows us to be more effective.